The wind that morning carried the acrid smell of burning fuel across the fields of eastern Poland. It was just after dawn on the 28th of July, 1944, near the small village of Okunu, not far from Warsaw. German officers stood rigid by their command vehicles, binoculars pressed to their eyes, struggling to comprehend the scene before them. Less than 10 minutes earlier, a line of Panther tanks from the 19th Panzer Division had rolled forward with confidence. The Panther was supposed to be the apex of armored power. Thick frontal armor, a deadly 75mm KWK-42 gun, and crews who believed nothing could stand against it at long range. Yet now, black smoke spiraled from several Panthers, flames erupting from engine compartments. One turret jerked violently to the side, freezing mid-motion. Another Panther exploded in a blaze of orange that shook the ground beneath. German officers exchanged stunned glances. Panthers were not meant to burn like this. The situation for the German army had already begun to crumble weeks before. On the 22nd of June, 1944, the Soviet Union had launched Operation Bagration, an enormous offensive stretching across Belarus. German Army Group Center, holding the line for nearly 3 years, suddenly found itself collapsing under relentless pressure. Soviet infantry, artillery, and armored formations pushed forward day and night. Entire German divisions vanished in encirclements. Roads choked with burning vehicles and abandoned equipment. Command posts struggled to account for units that no longer existed. By late July, the Red Army had advanced hundreds of kilometers westward, approaching the Vistula River and the outskirts of Warsaw. German commanders scrambled to erect defensive lines wherever possible. Reinforcements were rushed in, including the 19th Panzer Division, pulled back from the Eastern Front for refitting, now thrust into chaos. Once formidable, by mid-1944, the division was a shadow of its former self. Yet it carried some of Germany's most feared machines, the Panther tanks. Many officers pinned hope on these tanks, believing they could alter the course of the fight. Introduced after the Battle of Kursk in 1943, the Panther had earned a reputation as a killer of tanks. Its long-barreled gun could penetrate Soviet T-34 armor from over a kilometer away, and its sloped armor offered more protection than earlier German designs. Inside the turret, the gunner, loader, and commander worked in close quarters, while the driver and radio operator operated in the hull ahead. Behind them, the Maybach HL-230 engine produced nearly 700 horsepower. When fully operational, the Panther could move swiftly across open terrain and strike with deadly precision. But the Panther was as fragile as it was formidable. Transmissions and final drives frequently failed. Engines overheated. Fuel lines and ammunition storage created deadly hazards if penetrated. Engineers had made incremental improvements, but by 1944, many Panthers still concealed hidden weaknesses, invisible during parades or training exercises. On proving grounds, the tank seemed unstoppable, sleek, lethal, its optics giving gunners clear sight at distances where Soviet crews struggled. German doctrine emphasized long-range engagement, where the Panther could destroy enemy armor before it even knew it was under fire. Yet eastern Poland was rarely an open range. Forests, villages, narrow roads, and rolling farmland broke lines of sight. Visibility shifted in moments. A tank dominant at 1,500 meters could find itself in a fight at 400 meters or less. Reaction time became critical. One misstep could decide the battle. On the Soviet side, commanders had studied German armor meticulously. They had faced Panthers and Tigers since 1943 and knew the frontal armor was formidable, but the doctrine of teamwork, maneuver, and targeting weak points mitigated that advantage. By the summer of 1944, new weapons like the T-34-85, with an 85mm gun capable of penetrating Panther armor at closer ranges, had rolled out in force. along with self-propelled guns such as the Su-85 and Su-100, purpose-built to destroy enemy tanks. Soviet crews trained to attack from multiple directions, flanking German formations, closing the distance, and overwhelming them with numbers. Artillery and anti-tank guns provided additional support, and reconnaissance units located German movements before engagements began. This preparation would become lethal on that July morning near Okunu. At around 6:40 in the morning, the German armored column began moving across farmland east of the village. Dew still clung to the grass, and a thin morning fog hung low over the fields. Engines roared as the Panthers advanced in line formation, cutting through the quiet that made experienced soldiers uneasy. Inside one leading Panther was Company Commander Oberleutnant Karl-Heinz Baumgartner, a veteran of nearly 2 years on the Eastern Front. From the command cupola, he scanned the horizon carefully. At first, the field seemed empty. Only distant trees and rolling farmland stretching quietly ahead, the kind of silence that always felt wrong to seasoned men. Baumgartner kept his binoculars raised, eyes tracing the tree line to the left. Shadows shifted between the trunks, but nothing seemed to move. Then, with a crack that split the morning air, the first shell struck. Sparks flew from the side hull as the Panther jerked violently. Another hit followed immediately, penetrating thinner side armor near the engine compartment. Flames erupted instantly. Baumgartner barked orders into the intercom, demanding evasive maneuvers, but more shells rained down. Soviet tanks emerged from concealed positions in the tree lines and shallow depressions, maneuvering into firing positions with frightening speed. Within seconds, the battlefield dissolved into chaos. Panther crews scrambled to rotate turrets and return fire, but the smaller, more agile T-34 85s closed the distance faster. The Panther's gun was powerful, but turret rotation lagged behind, costing precious seconds in close combat. Another Panther was hit on its side, the shell striking near stored ammunition. An immediate, catastrophic fire engulfed the tank. Radio channels filled with frantic messages. Crews reported enemy armor to the left. Others claimed anti-tank guns were firing from the front. Static crackled over the airwaves as commanders tried to piece together the unfolding disaster. Soviet armor had appeared on both flanks. German tank commanders realized they were not facing a small raiding party. This was a carefully orchestrated armored push. By 6:47, the 3rd Panther burned. Soviet reconnaissance units had tracked German movements overnight. Anti-tank guns lay in hidden positions, ready for this moment. The Panthers moved into a calculated kill zone. From a command post several hundred meters back, officers watched through binoculars as one Panther after another fell. Some were struck by tanks, others by concealed 76mm and 85mm anti-tank guns. Within 10 minutes, some of the division's most powerful machines were engulfed in flames. The officers struggled to understand what had gone wrong. Panthers were designed to dominate at long range, yet here they were, destroyed almost instantly. The reality was stark. The Germans had walked into a meticulously prepared ambush. Soviet commanders exploited the Panthers' vulnerabilities, side armor far thinner than the front, engine compartments prone to ignition when penetrated. Each Soviet maneuver targeted these critical weak points. Meanwhile, Soviet infantry, equipped with anti-tank rifles and explosives, pressed closer to disabled vehicles. Smoke and fire spread rapidly across the field. Inside Baumgartner's Panther, desperation grew. The gunner managed to destroy a T-34 85 at about 500 meters, the Soviet tank erupting in flames. But before he could react, another shell slammed into the Panther's side, throwing the crew against steel walls. Fuel leaked into the engine compartment, smoke thickening inside the tank. Orders came that no crew wants to give. Abandon the vehicle. The men climbed out through the turret hatch, sprinting across the open field as their Panther burned behind them. Scenes like this repeated across the battlefield. Some Panthers attempted to retreat toward the road behind the field, but maneuvering under fire proved nearly impossible. One threw a track while attempting a sharp turn to avoid incoming shells. Another's engine failed mid-retreat, leaving it exposed. By 700 hours, the German counterattack had collapsed. Panthers were destroyed or immobilized. Soviet forces pressed forward, exploiting every gap. The chaos of that morning revealed the brutal lesson that even the most advanced tank could burn in minutes when caught off guard and outnumbered. For German commanders, the losses that morning were shocking. The Panther, on paper, had superior optics, a more powerful gun, and better frontal armor than the T-34. It should have dominated the battlefield. But war rarely follows calculations on paper. By 1944, the Eastern Front had become a theater of massive scale and relentless movement. Soviet forces were experienced, well-supplied, and highly coordinated. They had learned through years of brutal fighting exactly how to counter German armored formations, and they applied those lessons with deadly precision. Reports from the battle reached higher German command later that day. Officers pored over the details, struggling to explain how Panthers had been lost so rapidly. Some blamed poor positioning, others cited lack of reconnaissance. But deeper, systemic problems could no longer be ignored. By mid-1944, Germany no longer enjoyed the strategic advantages it had held earlier in the war. Fuel shortages restricted training and mobility. Replacement crews lacked the experience of those from previous years. Panthers themselves demanded meticulous maintenance, nearly impossible during rapid retreats. Meanwhile, Soviet production soared. Factories churned out thousands of T-34, 85s every month. Even when units lost tanks, replacements arrived quickly. German armored divisions simply could not match that pace. Still, German tank crews fought with determination. In the days following Okunu, further clashes erupted as they attempted to slow the Soviet advance toward Warsaw. Panthers and Panzer IVs engaged alongside infantry, defending roads and villages. Occasionally, German tanks achieved local successes, destroying Soviet vehicles before withdrawing. Yet the broader situation remained grim. The battlefield had shifted. Earlier in the war, German armored tactics relied on speed, coordination, and surprise. Units like Guderian's panzer divisions had shocked Europe with rapid breakthroughs. By 1944, these advantages had mostly vanished. German forces now fought defensively against an enemy that had mastered similar techniques. The burning Panthers near Okunu became a stark symbol of a wider pattern. Throughout the summer of 1944, German armored units suffered heavy losses to Soviet ambushes and overwhelming numbers. Even formidable machines like the Panther and Tiger could not overcome the strategic imbalance. Yet inside those tanks, crews faced the same terrifying reality. Steel walls only a few centimeters thick separated them from the battlefield outside. A single penetrating shot could ignite fuel and ammunition, fill the interior with smoke, and turn a crew compartment into a fiery trap. That morning, German commanders saw it all unfold before their eyes. Flames rose from tanks once thought nearly unstoppable. From a distance, the smoke columns marked the fate of each crew, some escaping, others wounded, some never emerging. As the Red Army advanced westward, the battlefield crept closer to Warsaw. Within days, Soviet forces reached the eastern banks of the Vistula River. German units scrambled to establish defensive positions around the city, but the shock of those burning Panthers lingered in the minds of many officers. The morning revealed a harsh truth about war in 1944. Technology alone could not decide outcomes. Training, coordination, numbers, and timing mattered just as much as machinery. The Panther remained a formidable tank under the right conditions, but caught off guard, attacked from multiple directions, or outnumbered, even the most advanced armor could be reduced to ashes in minutes. On the fields near Okunu, that is exactly what happened. Flames rose, smoke drifted, and German commanders watched in disbelief as their symbol of armored might vanished, leaving behind the stark reality of a shifting eastern front. For those who witnessed it, the lesson was unforgettable. German tanks, feared across Europe for years, could now be trapped, surrounded, and destroyed in minutes by a well-prepared enemy. And as the smoke settled over the Polish fields, the war pressed relentlessly westward, leaving behind the burned steel remains of Panthers that once embodied German armored power. Comment below and share your thoughts if you want more stories like this.